Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series, I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, Matt Dorkus.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading Way of Kings. Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading Words of Radiance for the first time. Each episode we'll discuss the chapter and share our experience along the way.
This is Storming the Archives, Words of Radiance, and today we discuss Chapter 18.
Chapter 18.
Quick question for you. Did the Parshmen come into existence not because they were made to be as they are, but because Honor died? Thus, as Shen is starting to show a little bit of character around Kaladin, maybe I should have saved this as we were going through the chapter, because there is a moment, but thus, Shen is getting more character because Kaladin is so honorable. Like, maybe the Parshmen were a sect of the Parshendi that were of honor.
They were honorable, they did the honorable thing and became mindless to save everyone?
No. As a result of Honor dying, they lost everything.
I don't know. Because, look, when we get to this point, I'll explain a bit more, but I'm thinking that Shen is just a spy.
Oh no. It is also this chapter that I made the connection. Kaladin is very close to Paladin.
That's not an accident.
Yeah. Again, I should have perhaps saved it for going through the chapter, but we essentially learn that Kaladin has a D&D-like Paladin mechanic. Let's do the epigraph, and then we're going to have discussions. Scholar form shown for patience and thought, beware its ambitions innate. Though study and diligence bring the reward, loss of innocence may be one's fate. From the Listener Song of Listing, 69th stanza. 69 stanzas, if going with our theory from a previous thing, that there is more or less a form per stanza, suggests that there are many Parshendi forms.
Yeah.
Loss of innocence, if you are a scholar. That's such a big, loaded concept, right? Like there's a sense of value being lost, I think. Am I wrong in that?
In that sentence, losing your innocence is a bad thing in that context, that it's like, it may be your fate that you lose innocence. Right. It's not losing naivete, it's losing innocence.
Right. So it's not, I think when paired with the line about ambition, I get Dr. Frankenstein vibes. There's an element of seeing hard truths or peeking behind the curtain. This idea that if you are scholarly to the point of being willing to perform heinous experiments, there's a loss of innocence, because I wouldn't necessarily inherently see how having a scholarly mindset would lead to a loss of innocence, unless it's just like you're always poking and prodding at dangerous things. Like, did you really want to know that? Do you really want to look into the eye of God and see darkness behind it? Kind of a thing.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing from this. Yeah. That's what you would be losing.
Yeah.
You would lose. Yes, you would gain knowledge, but you would lose this peace that may come with not knowing.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think I have anything else to say on it at the moment.
Other than, okay, does this mean that from the interludes that sister is in scholar form? She doesn't even realize it, that she is?
Possible.
Yeah. This stanza doesn't describe how you get this scholar form. You know, it doesn't go into the storm and think about things. It doesn't say that sort of thing. It just describes the warning of what it is. So maybe there's like a couple stanzas per form, you know, that brings out. So it says something about the form, and then it explains a little bit about what's bad about that form or something like that.
Well, I imagine you would go into the storm patiently and thoughtfully. Either way, scholar form seems dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But is progress always bad?
Yeah.
It can be bad if you proceed without wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps there is some residual anger from previous Kaladin chapters. I did not particularly like this chapter.
Oh my goodness, I loved this chapter.
Wow, we're gonna fight.
I enjoyed it so much.
Good, I'm glad.
Let's see your residual. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so look, mechanically, I understand, I think, what Sanderson wants to accomplish in this chapter. He wants to show us Xyle's skill and talent, and he's doing that by having him beat up on a character that we know to be talented.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to introduce the idea that Kaladin's powers can be taken away. And he does that by having Kaladin lose his temper. And
he answers questions we had, actually.
Say what now?
But anyway, he answers the question we had. We had a question of what happens when Kaladin is not honorable.
Yes. And we'll get to that discussion. So I felt like a part of this chapter, which leads into the rest of it, might have been a bit out of character for Kaladin. We are going to go through it chronologically, but I kind of want to have this discussion right off the bat, I guess. I got the sense that Kaladin has always been very respectful of teachers, of his former commanders who have taught him things, and so on. So it was really, really weird for me to see Kaladin butt heads with Xyle. Xyle, who is a Dark Eyes, by the way. And I can already formulate some arguments against what I'm going to say in some of these criticisms, like Renarin is a Bright Eyes, so of course he's going to be disrespectful to Renarin. But that's also balanced with this idea of, but Renarin hasn't really done anything terrible to you, at least not yet. Oh, but that's just because Kaladin has been made into a racist because of how he's been treated. So it doesn't matter that Renarin specifically hasn't done anything. Still, I feel like Kaladin has more respect for the training process and for those who are earnest in being willing to learn than was displayed in this chapter. And again, working on what I think Sanderson is trying to do mechanically, he wants to show us that Kaladin needs to be humbled. And I'm not convinced that we have ever needed Kaladin to be humbled. Kaladin has a lot of problems, but I've never seen him overly boastful or arrogant. That's Adolin. So just the whole thing kind of felt weird to me. Where else did I want to go?
So it felt out of place. It felt out of character.
Yeah, or a bit, I don't know, forced in such a way. The other thing is, with the fight as a whole, yes, I know Sanderson wants to show Xyle's strength and taking Kaladin down a peg, but Kaladin is good. And yes, Xyle acknowledges that at the end, but I don't see why Kaladin should have been as ineffective in his fight as he was. That did kind of bother me. Do I expect him to be as good as Xyle? It's really hard for me to gauge because it's so clear that this is Sanderson showing us Xyle's really, 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 really good. But Kaladin has always had a sort of supernatural tinge to how good he is. And yes, now he knows that he can suck in Stormlight. But I don't think he had been doing that, at least certainly not to any noticeable degree, when he was going through training up until the day of the bridge crew. So again, I really feel like Kaladin should have been able to perform better. Now, and some of this may just be that I'm so in tune with Kaladin's embarrassment and anger in this chapter that I'm just like so against the fact that he lost. But I'm left with a sour taste in my mouth. And on the whole, almost every character in this chapter, I feel I like less than when I started the chapter. I like Adolin a hell of a lot less, or rather, I judge him more harshly as a person. I like Kaladin a lot less because I feel like he's behaving out of character. And I don't even like Xyle all that much, in part because I feel like Sanderson is trying too hard to get me to like him. This came out way, way harsher than I thought it was going to. So please interrupt me, Kitty, and speak.
It doesn't sound harsh. It's just what your opinion. It's just what the things that's what you had. That's how you felt. In my experience, it makes sense that Kaladin does need to be humbled in this vein of his life, this section of his life that involves light eyes and involves shard plate and involves shard blades and all of that idea. When he's thinking about the bridge crew and being a leader of them, yeah, it's different. There is no arrogance there. It's good leadership, whatever. But when it comes to this personal kind of view, I think this is an important lesson for Kaladin. And it does go in character with him because Kaladin is not perfect. He's not always honorable. And he is angry. He has a lot of anger towards Light Eyes and a lot of anger towards Adolin. And just Light Eyes, the whole idea of look how privileged the Light Eyes are. They get to train in shard plate and all of this. And he dismisses that as well. He wants to. He has a bit of disdain for light-eyed culture. So a light-eyed, he's a dark eyes, but he is of the light eyes, system, the trainer. So having disdain for this kind of training is something that Kaladin would do because of his deep hatred of light eyes. So I think it is a fitting lesson, and I enjoyed the lesson because it's fun as well to see a character go through something that's uncomfortable and something that they can learn from. It's the only thing that I felt that was kind of forced is the whole idea that they get into a fight because it's just like, oh, how convenient that no one's trying to assassinate them when this fight is happening. How convenient that they can just, that they can just leave off the training and Renarin is just jumping off the roof and then he gets to get into a fight with the trainer. That was kind of contrived in my opinion. But
I agree.
The clash between Adolin and Kaladin, very good. It needed to happen. It's something that, and the idea of I'm nothing like him, all of that, I enjoyed that. So yes, that's it.
How alike are they really?
In that they're confident that they have very good skills, that they're done being taught, that they can now teach others, and that's it. And they have that is why they don't like each other as well. There's a lot of the thing that they see something in each other. There's a challenge. This other person is a challenge to him. It's like Adolin himself is Kaladin's racism as well. It's just that's what I loved, that there was this conflict between the two of them.
I think Kaladin is not nearly as shallow or stubborn or childish as Adolin. And I feel like the chapter wants us to take away that both Adolin and Kaladin are stubborn characters. And even when Xyle at the end is like, I don't think I even could teach you. Again, that's not the Kaladin I'm familiar with. The Kaladin I'm familiar with takes so easily, so naturally to the fighting. Okay, yeah, I guess Adolin's a prodigy, but I guess I always felt like Kaladin was a lot more respectful and earnest when it came to acknowledging a mentor or teacher's skills and a willingness to learn, then I think
that is something that he as a character should lean into. But he's not doing that because of the light eyes issue. Because this man stands for that system. This man is a privilege that Adolin and Renarin have.
I don't feel like that was brought up as the cause of his anger when he started shit-talking Renarin to Xyle. He went up and he started shit-talking Renarin to Xyle. He was not like, you represent their privilege. You're a part of the system, man. You uphold it.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be that literal. You bring it up. You're talking about this princeling as well. We're always calling them princelings. And you're saying, why are you wasting time on him? Why are you wasting time on him? You could just use another guy. It's part of his privilege that it's because he's Dalinar's son that he's getting this plate. Why not give it to someone more skilled? We're wasting all of this on this guy over here because he is the son of Dalinar. That involves privilege. That involves the system. And remember that we have this underlying idea as well that Kaladin, he's had the Amaram thing, okay, and there has not been a resolution there. That's all there. And when he does start fighting, there is this thing where he has basically flashes of all the bad things the Light Eyes have done, and then he goes after Adolin. So that's in there. It is. I think it's baked in there. That's my experience of it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Let's actually go through it then.
Mm-hmm.
We pick up right after the last chapter left off. Lopen shows up, and he gives us an update that the men are taking to their training really, really well. It took the bridge crew weeks, but it's only taken these guys days.
So Lopen's not one of the characters that you like less by the end of the chapter, right?
No, Lopen's great. No problem.
I like him
Lopen.
even more now.
Yeah. Kaladin notes that of all the people, Lopen had a great attitude from day one. And it's really great to see Lopen just write it off as, yeah, you have some good days, you have some bad days. He's a really great, laid-back figure whom I enjoy.
Just being grateful to be alive.
Yeah. He's eating something called chowta, which is basically a burrito. Right?
Well, but with thicker bread, though.
So it would seem. Okay, so a falafel then?
I don't know.
Although
falafel isn't the same thing for me. Falafel is like a dumpling sort of
shawarma.
thing.
I mean.
Yeah.
Man, I bet you have great shawarma where you live.
Of course.
So jealous.
Middle East boys.
Anyway, Kaladin calls it disgusting, which is rude, I think. Why would you go up to someone who's eating and say, that's disgusting? And we are developing a little bit of Kaladin's kind of a picky eater, which I think is funny, because back in book 1, he didn't like the adult food, which was too spicy for him. And here he's judging this. I just think that's funny.
He's not open to this new experience. He's not going to try it.
Yeah. There's a bit of cute banter with Kaladin saying it's rude to walk around eating like that. Lopen says it's convenient, and Kaladin calls it slovenly.
Kaladin's a bit Japanese in that, no, don't walk around eating. Eating is for sitting down. We don't walk around and eat.
Apparently. Lopen had brought Sigzil's tally with lots of information for Kaladin to go over. What we get from that is that a pretty high number of former bridgemen were fit for training. So Sanderson, I think, is setting up that his bridge crews are advancing at a rapid pace. They will probably be able to be formidable at some point. Good, they'll need to be.
Not that we have that much time. Yeah, we need to get them somewhere. There's not much time left.
I'm about to Google how long is boot camp. Military boot camp lasts between 7.5 to 13 weeks, depending on the branch. Okay. So 60 some odd days left. That's a reasonable boot camp period for them to be ready for the Everstorm when it comes.
Yeah, they'll be basic soldiers then. Just basic guys, not specialized units.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I have that frame of reference now. Sigzil had also written out an optional path for patrolling outside the war camps. Ultimately, Kaladin tells Lopen that path takes him too far out, but this does open the door for Kaladin to be the one to find Shallan, especially since it is suggested to him that he be the one to take them out on patrol so that the men can spend time with Kaladin, which is smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's going to be that high storm that night, which puts us in sequence with Shallan.
Mm-hmm.
Kaladin advises that Kholin House choose to spend the night under the same roof, and Kaladin will personally watch them, which I think is wise. And I do think he wants to know. I don't think it's outright stated, but I think he wants to know a bit more about what's up with the Fitz.
Yeah, this is gonna have to come. Like this makes me excited that now Kaladin will be privy to it, and Dalinar will have to trust him with it.
Yes. Lopen gives us the line, "If the winds will, Gon." I think that's a neat line.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a look at Adolin, who's training in the shard plate, and it looks magnificent, reflecting sunlight like a mirror. Syl is watching him, and Kaladin can't make Syl's face out. We know that she doesn't like him, so I do kind of wonder what's going through Syl's mind there.
Yeah, I don't know. Her expression be good or bad in this situation? Is she appreciating the movements, or is she just like, he shouldn't be in shard, he doesn't deserve shard, that sort of thing?
Right. Or could he one day deserve it, or something? Kaladin and Lopen discuss how Kaladin had seen Adolin's shard blade during the prostitute incident, to which Lopen says, well, I guess he can't be all that bad then, which I'm sure will be important for Kaladin to have heard at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it's a reminder that, listen, there is some goodness in Adolin. He is arrogant and full of crap and whatever, but there is some goodness in him. He still doesn't like wrongness being done to someone. And it's really interesting that Sigzil is actually, Sigzil's the one that turned and made Kaladin watch, because he's like, that's something, isn't it? To Kaladin, because he's admiring what's happening there. So yeah, it's begrudging. Kaladin did feel awe when he was looking at Adolin. And I think it's another thing, is like, he hates Adolin, but he's got to respect that bro can move and do things pretty cool. So it's something that would irritate me, that somebody I don't like is good at something. So that adds to the layer of, annoyance already.
Right. Lopen takes off, and he collects Shen, who's poking at the practice swords. So that line that he's poking at it is what makes me think that Shen is developing some character. Again, added on to some other lines about him from previous chapters.
Yeah, it's a very significant line.
Yeah. I don't think he's a spy. I genuinely think, if nothing else, he is coming close to being able to change forms.
Yeah.
Even if my honor theory is not correct, I think he's coming close.
Yeah, he might actually not be. Either way, to be a spy and go in dull form is pretty difficult. So
right. I forget which one is dull form and which is slave form, but the one without music, I don't even know if the Parshendi can purposefully do that, or if they know how to do that.
I don't know. But I think that the slave form looks very much the same as dull form. Yeah. So it's not something humans would notice.
That as well. Xyle is teaching Renarin, and Renarin is like, I don't have any bad habits that I can lose because I never learned in the first place. And Xyle then orders him to climb up to the roof and jump off. And we know that power armor makes you immune to falling damage. So, yeah, that seems more like fun than anything to me.
But yeah, you still have to get used to the whole idea of these are certain things that you can do. And yeah, if you're afraid of heights, that's another thing.
True.
Yeah.
We get, it didn't work for me, but I can see how it would work for other people. The line, "I'm old, son. Repeating myself makes me eat the wrong flower." Kaladin frowned and Renarin cocked his head, then looked at Kaladin questioningly. Kaladin shrugged. "Eat what?" Renarin asked. "It means I get angry. You people don't have proper idioms for anything. Go."
This is more of the thing for me that Sanderson is hinting at this guy being more than he seems to be. We've got he's referred to as the man with the ancient eyes, the ardent with the ancient eyes, and then we've got this. You people don't have proper idioms, so it's like he's otherworldly. He's a Cosmere traveler kind of thing. Or not just Cosmere traveler, just he's otherworldly is what you're supposed to get from this.
Yeah.
There's a later line where he says something that sounds like he's going to say human on this planet.
I feel like Sanderson wants Xyle to be some sort of mix between Lan and Master Splinter and generic anime cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what this line is about, is getting in the Master Splinter of it.
Okay. Yeah, well, for me, it was more like he's otherworldly. He knows he's from somewhere else.
Yes. I definitely think there's...
I like him, sorry.
something of that learned monk sort of thing. Renarin forgets his helmet, and he grabs it, and he's running off, and he just does it really, really clumsily.
Yeah.
I have to attribute that to the shard plate of it more than anything, because I don't think we ever got clumsy from him before.
Yeah, and Zale, he says, you'd be better the first time in wearing shard plate, bodyguard. So it's the first time I can imagine that you just don't know how much force you're supposed to put into things, and you're not used to wearing it. It's like having extra strength. I can definitely see that causing you to stumble around and things like that. Especially when you're trying to do things that you're used to. Okay, well, I just need to move quickly, but you can move very quickly. So it's difficult to control.
Yeah, sure, I can accept that. And the reason Xyle says that is because Kaladin snorts softly. So as far as I'm concerned, Kaladin is kind of the one that instigates this conversation or this argument or whatever.
Just by the snort, though, he didn't say, "Oh my goodness, he is so horrible," right? Like he just went, and Zale is the one that brings him into the conversation. He seems more curious about Kaladin.
I don't wholly agree. A snort is the height of disgust and dismissiveness and judgment. So I don't think you do that if there's no intention to make a statement.
No, he snorts softly. It's just he does. I don't think he expected to have a conversation about it. He just had a reaction.
Yes, but he's still trying to communicate his disgust.
I think it was an involuntary sort of kind of thing. Just literally like an exhale through the nose.
Fair.
And that's why also Zale makes it a point to be like, oh, okay. Like, I think Zale is interested in Kaladin, and that is also why he makes a point to speak to him about what you'd be better in plate. So I think it's chastising him for that disgust, and I think it's right. I think it's good.
Right. Well, it also, that question in response, especially with what happens later on with Kaladin saying no too vehemently, it shows us that Xyle doesn't really know Kaladin. Obviously, they had one tiny conversation, less than like 30 seconds. So there's that. But I don't think Xyle is correct when he says that's what he thinks Kaladin is saying. And Kaladin basically comes back with, I doubt I'd forget my helmet. If Dalinar Kholin intends to force the other High Princes into line, I think he's going to need better shard bearers than this. He should have picked someone else for that plate. And that rubbed me as so pissy. Like, yes, and I don't expect Kaladin to know the dynamic, like the familial dynamic at play here, or like the nuances of how people are chosen for plate. But there is really something so childish and unprofessional about this exchange that immediately kind of turns me off.
I took it as he's being practical. He's saying, okay, Dalinar, because remember, he's also, the only thing he really, really cares about is Dalinar staying alive, because Dalinar will keep Bridge 4 where it is. Mm-hmm. So he's just thinking about, okay, what would be most effective for Dalinar practically? So like you said, he doesn't know he doesn't care about the familial dynamics and all of that. He's like, what would be the most powerful thing for Dalinar? He would have a different shard bearer.
He would have somebody talented.
Yes, yeah, somebody already trained, because we've already seen that other shard people that don't even have shard, they are training in it. Like the Light Eyes get to train in shard plates and with shard blades. So why not choose one of them? Obviously, there's a lot of politics in there, but he's not thinking of that because he's blinded by the whole, well, it's just Light Eyes stuff, dismissive. And you can say Zahel here is also dismissive. He's assuming that Kaladin is just like any other god. Yeah, just like any other god, that it's like, oh, you think you needed the plate? Because he thinks that Kaladin just has normal ambition, like any general person would want shard plate and a shard blade.
Right.
So this is also Zahel learning about Kaladin and being surprised by him.
Right. And if we do take your interpretation, there is certainly irony in the sense that it's not wholly off of what Amaram had said to justify his taking the blade. It's that he's trained in the sword. Kaladin isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's that. Zahel says, like you, and Kaladin says, Storm Snow, I'm a soldier, Zahel. I want nothing to do with shards. The boy is likable enough, but I wouldn't trust men to his command, let alone armor that could keep a much better soldier alive on the field, and that's it. That's, first off, I'm glad he said no. I'm glad it was too vehemently. And Zahel, I don't think, believes him, because it, I think, is unnatural for someone to not want shards. The phrase the boy, and Zahel will call him out on it, is meant, I think, for Kaladin to try and put himself above Renarin, and I wouldn't trust men to his command. Who's putting Renarin in command? I don't think anyone is. So it's like, where is this coming from other than his clear anger? I know I'm on record as having said I want him to be angry, I want him to lose his shit and be pissy. Not at Zahel and not at things that are ridiculous. I want him to yell at Adolin. The argument between him and Adolin in the last chapter was exactly what I wanted. I wanted righteous fury directed at the Bright Eyes, not pissiness to someone more or less unconnected who happens to be Dark Eyes. This, it's just like, why? Why any of this?
So can't you just be disappointed in him? Disappointed in his character, in him being angry in the wrong way, rather than finding it that it's the wrong way to write it. Like for me, it's, yeah, you're being, it's stupid Kaladin instead of stupid Sanderson.
I'll work on it. I'll work on it. Though really, like if we restructured the scene just a little bit, we had Kaladin be a bit more deferential to Zahel, maybe make him open to learning a thing or two, which I think is more in line with Kaladin's character. And then Zahel maybe not knowing the drama tension between Adolin and Kaladin. Maybe Zahel has the two of them duel, and then Adolin pushes it a little too far and then goads Kaladin, similar to how we have the second half of this chapter. I feel like that would have been so much better in terms of Kaladin just being less pissy. Zyle says he'll surprise you. I gave him the whole "I'm your master and you'll do what I say" talk, and he actually listened. And Kaladin writes that off as not noteworthy. And he again uses "the boy" line. And as I said earlier, yes, I understand Kaladin is racist against all Light Eyes because of his experiences. But at the same time, it's like, what did Renarin do to you personally? What did Renarin say to you that you are so disrespectful of Renarin in this moment? It struck me
he
as
himself. Yeah.
He himself.
He himself has said the boy is likable enough. So he's not being disrespectful to Renarin. He's just noting that he's not finding it he's not finding it outstanding enough. It's not personal. It doesn't seem like it's personal, like Renarin's a shit. This is Renarin. It's just like, okay, it's not that great. And if anything, it does just go back to the Light Eyes thing of, oh, are you just acting like he's amazing because he's Light Eyes? He's just a normal recruit, a normal person in training. Don't put him on a pedestal, kind of thing. So it's not that he doesn't like Renarin himself. It's the situation. And I see his bitterness there. It's bitterness. He's bitter at Light Eyes themselves. Just because Renarin hasn't done something personally to him, it doesn't mean that's not how racism works. Like, racism isn't just one individual. That's the difference between somebody who is racist and somebody who has just an experience with someone of the opposite race that is negative.
Right. Bitterness is a great word for this entire conversation. Hi, everyone. Editor Dorkus here to clarify a quick point that I don't think I was clear enough on. In keeping with what I have said in the past, I don't mind Kaladin being rude to Renarin, even if Renarin hasn't done anything to Kaladin. It's the talking behind his back that I find troublesome. As I'm recording this, slight different topic, we'll say I think with distance, Kaladin does better in the fight than I represented in this episode. So for me, it aged well, at least. And I was perhaps a bit unreasonable, which I do tend to be from time to time. Thank you, and all right, back to the episode. Look, I think I really felt like for the most part, Kaladin had better self-control and was more respectful, held in higher respect. Teachers / trainers / sergeants, fighters, people, and his role here. Renarin didn't bait this, and I don't really feel as if Zyle baited this. Yes, he started the conversation after Kaladin snorted, but look, is it like, oh my god, terrible? No. But it is what it is.
I really enjoyed it, like the fact that he's saying that that boy did what that boy did is not noteworthy. There's also this history that Zyle has with the family, number one, as well, that he would want to be defensive. And then also he takes this, like, he's much older. He's the ancient-eyed guy. And
sure.
And he sees somebody calling someone a boy. And he's like, they are both boys in his eyes, right? That's exactly how he would see it. So, and I love that Kaladin gets to say boy twice. And then after this, he goes, and don't call him a boy. He's probably close to your own age and is the son of the most powerful human on this. And then there's nothing. So that's also another note for this guy's otherworldly. What do you mean on this? Why would you say on this? You would say in this. You would say in the world or something. You don't say on the world, on the planet. So that I think is what we're supposed to take away.
Sure.
We're supposed to go, ooh, look what he did there.
Sure. And that was a good response. And he also says that, it's noteworthy when a Light Eyes does it. If you knew how many spoiled 10-year-old light-eyed brats came through here, you'd think it worth noting. And I would have imagined that that's something that Kaladin might have, heard or clicked.
Mm-hmm. And that also brings in the discussion carrying on, because Kaladin also can realize that he can speak this frankly with Zyle because he's just said light-eyed brats and whatever. He's not going to be pissy about disrespecting the Light Eyes. It's more about Kaladin just being wrong about things.
Sure. But the reason that they get cut off is Renarin jumps. And he does the jump and he flails. It's terrible. And he lands. Xyle looks to Kaladin for a response. Kaladin wants to know what the look is. And Xyle says, Renarin has enthusiasm and obedience and no fear of looking foolish. He can teach Renarin how to fight, but he cannot teach innate qualities. So Renarin is basically the perfect student.
Mm-hmm.
Kaladin makes another pissy comment, assuming he doesn't fall on anyone. And Xyle tells Renarin to jump headfirst next time. And you know this thing where, like, in TV shows when people are on the phone, they never have the pleasantries. Hi, hello, how you doing? Mm. Good. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye, bye, bye. Bye. Kind of a moment.
Yeah. They never say goodbye. They just put the phone down.
Right? If I were Renarin here, I would totally be like, wait. Do you want me to land on my head? Or do you want me to, like, put my hands up and try to land in a handstand? What do you want from me when you say jump head first? So that did go through my mind and I chuckled.
Well, you said this time fall head first. So you have to fall, just fall off their head first. Don't jump, fall.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's a good distinction. Kaladin does have the insight that this is teaching Renarin to know the limits of the shard plate, which is good. Good to know the limits. And Xyle says, teaching him is going to be a real pleasure. You, on the other hand, are another story. I had a moment of, oh, that's going to be cool. Kaladin's going to learn from him. I like that. That's great.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, I like that the way it's just the assumption that, no, I'm going to teach you. And it's like, sorry, I did not ask to be taught. And when are you going to find the time? And yeah, just what?
Yeah.
It seems, that makes me think that Xyle is interested in Kaladin. He's curious about him. And also, probably, yes, also cares that Kaladin is somewhat deficient. There's weaknesses in the ability for Kaladin to protect the colons. So he wants him to be better. Or there's some Cosmere kind of thing that he kind of knows something. And yeah.
Sure. Well, I think the justification that Kaladin likely hasn't been trained with shard blade and plate and therefore probably hasn't been trained in how to fight shard blade and plate is pretty strong. And I think that's one of the stronger arguments against a comment I'll make later.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I know I'm being hard, and please acknowledge I'm also noting the counter arguments to my own arguments.
I'm just giving them not to convince you, but to show you what I think.
Sure.
That's all.
Good.
It would be pretty boring if I was just like, okay, cool.
Exactly. Kaladin turns him down, and we learn that very precious few Dark Eyes have ever been given the chance of training with a full weapons master. Kaladin gives the line, yes, well, I've already done the new recruit thing. Yelled at by sergeants, worked to the bone, marched for hours on end. Really, I'm fine. That is the line that made me think this is out of character. That one right there. I don't mind Kaladin turning him down, but him being so sort of aloof about it was a bit strange.
You know what's another way to look at this as well, is that Kaladin is not finding Zohel as cool as he's being written. So that's another, this way, this approach here is also probably, it's another kind of wink at, yeah, you're not that cool, okay? I'm not acknowledging your coolness, okay? You're trying, he's acknowledging this kind of like, ooh, you're trying, by calling it the new recruit thing, you know, he's like, I'm not interested in that trope. I'm not interested in that whole experience because I've had it. And it's kind of like him saying, I know what you're trying to do here and I'm not interested.
Sure.
And that goes along with your interpretation of Xyle as being too cool for school kind of thing.
Sure. This does also bring up the important question of, is the rest of Bridge 4 going to have to learn this as well? Because if the justification is it will be shard bearers that try to assassinate Colin House, then you need to know how to fight shard bearers, that shouldn't just apply to Kaladin. It should apply to all of them.
I suppose if he gets trained, he can train lower down.
That's what I'm thinking. And I do think after this chapter, Kaladin will be self-reflective, dutifully humbled, and go to Xyle and say, okay, I'm ready to learn. That's my prediction there. Xyle gets handed a shard blade, and when they're training, they seem to have these devices on them that are hard to break when they're on, but easy to break when they're off. And they allow you to more or less risk being hit by a shard blade without your soul being cut in half. Xyle invokes Niter, who was on the Cobalt Guard, a good man and friend. He died keeping the men of the Kholin house alive. Now you've got the same damnation job, and you're going to have a tough time doing it half as well as he did. So cool.
I don't think it's a cool line. It's just, and it also shows he cares. He cares about the Kholins. He knows the guy that died. He doesn't want more people to die. Yeah, it's more about his motivations, and also it's Kaladin's. Kaladin needs to recognize as well that there are some parts of light-eyed society and things like that. You can't just completely dismiss all of it.
Yes,
they're like the way he says this is not like that at all. It's not that this is not the same sort of training. So there are things. You can't dismiss it all is essentially the message that he's got to try and get through there. It's not saying it's all good either. It's just that, look, there are things that are pretty damn awesome. That's why they're privileges.
Sure. Xyle asks if Kaladin has ever fought a shard bearer. Kaladin says once or twice. Xyle responds, don't lie to me. And look, yes, I know it's an unbelievable claim, but it's also a true claim, and I come down hard on Kaladin's side here. And what point does Kaladin have to lie in this moment? And I think that's like 2 moments of Xyle doesn't really know or understand Kaladin at all. Again, not that there's an expectation that he would, or should. Just, it's noteworthy for their dynamic. I'm not lying. Ask Adolin what I pulled his father out of a few weeks back. Good response. And I think that is a fairly undeniable assertion. Like, if he said that to me, I'd be like, okay, I believe you then. But considering a line later, I think even then, Xyle doesn't believe him yet. I don't think Xyle believes him until after the fight.
Yeah, he probably, it seems like he has this view that Kaladin's just an arrogant guy that got above himself, and he's probably lying in that he was around when that happened. It's not that Kaladin pulled them out. It's not he's not the guy that saved them. It's just that he was there. He was in the army, or he was around, or whatever. He just thinks that he finds a more plausible explanation in his head.
Yeah, so I think Xyle sees in Kaladin potential, but it is also tempered with seemingly his own prejudices.
Yeah, it is a prejudice, yeah.
Renarin jumps again. Xyle tells him to do a few jumps, and then Xyle challenges Kaladin to fight. And at that moment, I'm kind of thinking, oh, so is this no longer a Renarin lesson? This is a Kaladin lesson? But I guess if Renarin is just running drills at that moment, then it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's possible that Xyle worked out with Dalinar off script. There's nothing in here to suggest this, but it is possible that Dalinar was like, hey, could you also train my bridgemen, because they're my guards and I need them to know these things. So some of this could have been pre-planned on Xyle's part.
I'm wondering, then he would know that Kaladin is the guy that saved him.
One would think.
Maybe.
So
yeah. So this might just be Xyle just taking an interest and having a soft spot for the Kholins.
Yeah. Kaladin prepares himself for the fight and wonders how exactly it's gonna work, especially if his spear gets cut in half. That gets answered later. He goes in for the fight, and Xale immediately trounces Kaladin with a blade trick where he drops the blade and rams into Kaladin.
I thought that was a very good lesson as well, because we have Kaladin thinking, look at the shard blade. Don't watch that shard. That shard blade is it. That shard blade is everything, and it becomes about the blade. And then that's the switcheroo that comes through. It's important. I think it's a good lesson for Kaladin, and it was also just cinematically, just narratively fun to have him thinking all about the blade, and then the blade gets forgotten. Oh, it's just great.
Yeah. It was choreographed well, that moment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Kaladin tries tiring out Xyle, and Xyle's like, that won't work, because if I were in Shardplate, I wouldn't tire. Kaladin basically responds with, but you don't. And if you did, I would be doing different things. So...
yeah, I love this. That's you see, I'm enjoying the fight because also he's explaining to the trainer his thinking as he goes through, and this is how Xyle gets to be able to say later on that Kaladin thinks well in a fight. So, yeah, he's like, but look, this is our fight right here. We're not playing in a scenario. We're looking at this fight right now. That's how Kaladin sees it, and that's an insight that we can get into our Kaladin fights. He's not taking in the meta of this, of all of this. He's just looking at the current fight. Yeah.
Sure. At that point, Xyle makes a dash for Renarin to foe assassinate him.
Mm-hmm.
And Kaladin goes charging after him. Xyle feints, doubles back, and hits Kaladin. His spear gets cut in half, and some Ardents toss him a replacement, essentially, to simulate the shard blade. Moash comes running in, but the Ardents stop him from interfering, and little bit of a nitpick in the sense that it's not a real nitpick, but like if Adolin is allowed to come up later and be like, well, I would send 2 assassins, then Moash needs to be able to join the fight.
Yeah, but there is the whole light eyes versus dark eyes thing. Kaladin's Moash isn't a prince.
I don't care. Moash at that point should have gone in, but perhaps it's for the best because Adolin would have rudely hit Moash, and Moash can't Stormlight his health back. They have another bit of banter about how Xyle would have run off after that point, but Kaladin would have stabbed him in the leg. I wouldn't have made that mistake. Well, then you have to assume that I wouldn't have made this mistake. Kind of a thing.
I love this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun banter. There's a certain lightheartedness to it all.
Well, there is
stylistic. There's a style, is what I'm trying to say. Go on.
It's very anime, but
yeah,
it is lighthearted, but it also has an edge to it for me. That they are still in a fight, and they are still challenging each other. They are still testing each other, or at least Kaladin is being tested. So it still has an edge to me. It's not just playing. It's got some meaning behind it. I like it.
Great. Kaladin goes in. Xyle kicks him in the face again. Xyle essentially wins, but Kaladin says, well, I got you in the leg, so you're not getting Renarin, therefore I win. Oh, but you're still dead. Yeah, but my job is to stop you, not keep myself alive.
Yeah.
I was pretty satisfied with that, and I wish that had more impact. But then Adolin comes in.
Yeah, it's Adolin coming in as well is just him being a dick to Kaladin, because that's a good thing. And I think Xyle would have been interested in being like, yeah, you're right, that's still, this man really would give his life. Or maybe he would have dismissed it and been like, oh, you're talking shit again, maybe. But, it's a good point. But then Adolin's like, I'll take this time to come in and be like, well, you still failed, okay? Because
yeah. So as I said earlier, Adolin comes in and says, I would have sent in more than one assassin. And, if we're going to do this back and forth game that we just got, Kaladin really should say, well, I've got more bodyguards here. But I also wrote to myself, Szeth was alone. Yeah. How many assassins have been sent in multiple numbers? Not very many, Adolin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the assassiny thing, is that it's stealth. That having too many is it's difficult. And that's what makes something an assassination, is it's just quick,
Yeah.
And stealthy.
Xyle comes down on Kaladin's side, basically saying he sees the point. He tries to calm things.
And also Adolin says bridge boy. So Adolin
Yep.
is doing what Kaladin was doing essentially as well. He's like, oh boy. Like, shut up. Okay?
Yeah. I really do not like Adolin after this chapter.
Mm-hmm. A bridge boy.
Kaladin sees in Adolin all evil things that he hates.
Mm-hmm.
And he screams and charges Adolin. So I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with Kaladin losing his temper here, least of all to Adolin.
Mm-hmm. Especially after Bridge Boy and just the way he looks, the smug, just all of it.
Kaladin was baited into this, and he was baited hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really blame him. Like, we talked about what is out of character and what is not out of character. I don't necessarily think it's out of character for Kaladin to be baited and enraged and fight from here. The initial fight and the pissiness earlier on, yes. But here I think it's more fair.
Mm-hmm.
The fight, Kaladin does reasonably well in the fight up until Adolin does a pretty unrestrained hit at Kaladin, sending him flying halfway across the arena or something like that.
Basically uses shard power to throw a man. That's how strong a shard plate is. It's enhanced strength. So I imagine something like freaking, I don't know, Iron Man or the Hulk or something throwing a person. And that's crazy. Especially with sparring.
Yeah.
Sparring, you're not supposed to absolutely injure somebody,
Exactly. And Xyle fortunately yells at Adolin, which is good, and Kaladin seems to take a pretty bad hit. He shouldn't be fighting. His shoulder already hurts from ramming shard plate. His vision's off. The exchange is, "You could have killed the boy. He attacked me. You challenged him, fool child. Then he asked for it."
The way that you say it is so whiny compared to the audiobook. The audiobook is just, he says it. He just goes, "He attacked me. And then he asked for it." The way you did it definitely shows your scorn for Adolin.
Yeah. I wrote F you, Adolin, and I'm kind of over him now in his entirety. I don't care about his good qualities anymore. This was so childish, so dangerous, so stupid, so petty. Even more so than Kaladin was being earlier in my mind. And I'm glad Xyle sided with Kaladin on this.
Mm-hmm. It's unsurprising to me. And I didn't like Adolin really that much to begin with. So it's all in character for me. It's not like, oh, now I don't like him or now I like him less. It's just basically, that's Adolin. I already had this idea of him.
Yeah. See, as childish.
I wasn't surprised. Yeah.
Right. See, as childish and privileged as Adolin has been in the past, you could always hang your hat on he loves his father and he wants to live up to his father's ideals, which I think is a very likable quality. I don't care about that anymore.
No, but with these two, you can see that there is this challenge. This is what we were excited about seeing, this energy between the two of them. That Adolin has this irrational hate for Kaladin, and Kaladin has this hate for Adolin to the extent that it's just a bit much. It shouldn't be hate, it should be irritation. But they hate each other. So Adolin is being weak here and being dishonorable here, and so is Kaladin. So it were I know Kaladin is defending himself, but still the fact is Adolin is being flawed, and so is Kaladin. So I'm here for it. It wasn't too much of a problem.
We're about to get into that conversation, but I fundamentally disagree that Kaladin did anything wrong here that would constitute him being dishonorable.
Okay, let's go. I'm with Soul here.
So Kaladin sucks in some stormlight while telling himself, not too much, don't let them take it from you. And I do appreciate what Sanderson is doing in this chapter, in the sense that his hatred of the Light Eyes and his insistence that they not take his power away from him could lead to his powers being taken away. That dynamic is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Lead to them not working. That is not that. Well, I guess it could be taken away that the bond is broken. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He heals a little bit. He goes in for an attack. Partway through the attack, his powers leave him, and he finds himself very tired. And I noticed a very big parallel between what happens with Dalinar when the thrill leaves him, in terms of that fatigue. So I think that's noteworthy, and maybe there's something kind of connected between the Spren and the Nahal bond and the creation of Shard Blade and Plate? Or the thrill,
maybe.
rather?
The thrill has significance.
Yeah,
the thrill has significance. We know that, yeah.
Sorry, I meant thrill, not Blade and Plate. Although there probably is a connection there, too.
At this point, when the power drained from him, I was like, oh my goodness, is this Xyle doing this to him? How does this work? Is this something he could do? That's where I was at that point. I wasn't thinking about the honor of what was going on. I was just in the fight and going, oh my gosh, is he revealing who this Xyle guy is and what he can do now? But then the soul part comes, and that's when I understood.
Sure. Yeah, I myself wasn't wholly certain what happened here until the Syl stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that fatigue, Xyle is able to kill Kaladin again. Xyle orders Adolin away. Xyle finally acknowledges, okay, maybe you actually have fought Shardbearers before, because Kaladin wasn't flinching in the fight, which is good. I'm annoyed Xyle didn't believe him until after the fight, or during to after, but at least he got there, so that's good. Xyle basically gives him the lesson. You're lucky to be alive. You've got tenacity, a stupid amount of it. You have good form and you think well in a fight, but you hardly know what you're doing against Shardbearers. What should he say? Xyle was right. It was arrogant to say otherwise. 2 fights, 3 if he counted today, did not make one an expert. So, yeah, that is fair and accurate. And I'm annoyed that it's right and fair and accurate. Except, again, I feel like it kind of underserves or undersells or undervalues Kaladin's natural gift and the valuable experience of having survived 3 fights and what can be learned from actually being in that situation.
Well, we've just had the idea that he doesn't flinch. We've already got that. So he's got the experience that he's already faced it. So he did learn from that. But the expert part is something we need to take away from here. Yeah, sure, he survived those, and that's very good. That means he's really talented. But that doesn't make him an expert. And that is true. And I completely buy Kaladin being able to see that clearly from being beaten. And you expected that from Kaladin as well already. You said he's going to introspect and see that he wants to learn. So the fact that he already knows, it would be arrogant to say he knows what he's doing. So yeah, all in all, yeah, that makes sense. It works.
Yeah. I guess I really, really just wish that the fight had landed on a slightly better note for Kaladin. I'm annoyed that Adolin essentially won, so to speak. It leaves me with a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I think I said it earlier, but I guess you could argue that I'm just so in Kaladin's POV for this that it's hard for me to remove myself from it.
Yeah, you can't get away from the anger of Adolin still beat you up. That's what you're feeling. You're like, you hate Adolin so much, and then he beat you up. And you're like, ugh, about that. And it's just like, that. How could I have lost against that brat?
Yeah. Xyle says he won't force him or could force him. Kaladin feels humiliated and doesn't understand why. So he doesn't quite realize what happened. Xyle says, Adolin wouldn't let me teach him either. Not at first. And I'm like, really? Xyle, who is so clearly so cool and so amazingly talented and probably the best of the best in terms of being able to fight, didn't want to learn from you?
Okay. No, I think it's more that he was sure, he was definitely being trained, but he was not obedient like his brother. He was probably like, okay, cool, I know what to do. He was arrogant in that. It's not that he refused to be taught. It's just that, so the
thing is, if we go that direction, then Kaladin really isn't like Adolin.
What, that, because?
Because Kaladin has always struck me as someone who learns earnestly and values mentorship and training.
Oh, initially, he did reject the teaching. He said, I'm fine. I don't need it. Like
from Xyle, but in the past.
Yeah, in the past, yes. But from Xyle, because we've had the whole conversation of why he rejected Xyle's advancement or whatever in the beginning. And that is the similarity, that he thought he was okay. It was fine. I don't need this. Or that he's resistant to training. That's the bare minimum, is that he's resistant to this training. And that's what Xyle is noticing in him. That's like Adolin. And also just the fact that they're both so tenacious and stubborn and actually have tempers as well. That's another thing, that they're similar. And they have a lot to learn, both of them. So I think for him, from his point of view, they are very similar. We know how different they are. But from his point of view, they're similar in this manner.
Sure. Kaladin says, I'm nothing like him. Xyle laughs and walks away. And then we get the exchange between Kaladin and Syl. What happened? The stormlight drained from me. I felt it go.
Who were you protecting?
I was practicing how to fight, like when I practiced with Scar and Rock down in the chasms.
Is that really what you were doing?
He didn't know. Okay, so yes, that second line about he was practicing how to fight was cope. But where do I even start? He was baited into this. He was pretty clearly baited. He lost his temper in that process. He was training-ish. He was having sort of a match between himself and Xyle to determine like whether or not this was really going to work or not. But I didn't see anything dishonorable there. But I don't see anything dishonorable in Kaladin being baited into fighting Adolin. And I don't think he necessarily took it too far. He got back up and got back into the fight. So, explain it to me if you can, Kitty, please, because it's completely lost on me. I know it all wants us to feel like Kaladin did some dishonorable thing, or he was fighting for his own pride rather than honor.
Yep, he was. He wasn't protecting someone else, he was protecting himself.
But I just don't see this situation as being void of all other circumstances.
He shouldn't have been baited. He should have. It doesn't matter that somebody else is being dishonorable in the same way.
And that's worth him losing his powers over. So in our last conversation, I was editing the video and I wasn't entirely satisfied with how we were talking about oaths, in the sense that I don't think I ever pointed out the nature of an oath is to, in theory, lock you in ad infinitum.
Mm-hmm.
But I become incredibly leery of a greater power that can just take my power on a whim, even if I'm being a little petty. Like a repeated pattern of behavior, sure. But this circumstance, not at all. And at the end of the day, I feel less trustworthy of the powers and whatever allowed for these powers to exist within me if I'm Kaladin here. And I'm even kind of less than thrilled with Syl's response, because I can't tell if she's being genuine when she asks, who were you protecting? Is that really what you were doing? Or if that was some sort of knowing, I know what you were really up to, so I took your powers for a moment to try and teach you a lesson. It's like, this is a betrayal from Syl, if that's the case, which I'm not necessarily convinced is the case. I do think Syl had sort of a falter when she was watching this, but again, I reject the premise that Kaladin did anything wrong. So I'm just all in all left with a sour, mistrustful taste.
I think it's about submitting to a greater power. A greater power can judge you, and it can take from you however the hell it wants, because it is more powerful than you. This power is a privilege, and it is given to you, and it has certain conditions. So if those conditions are not met, then the power is not there. Think about, I only just learned this because I didn't know much about the Green Lantern, but it's all about willpower, right? So if there's no willpower, then the power doesn't work. So it's the same thing. It's just the mechanics of the bond. And yes, it is as literal as, what are you fighting for? What are you busy doing? So I don't know. You're right. I don't know if Syl took it away to teach a lesson, or if it just would happen anyway, naturally. Either way, she plays a role in his powers, and her judgment is very important, as we've always thought. So she has found him wanting in this. He should not have responded to Adelin's goading. He should not have succumbed to his anger. He was not protecting anyone else. He was protecting his pride. That is the problem. When he was fighting with Zahel, there was no powers involved. And I think that if he had put in Stormlight there, it would have been fine. Or maybe Syl would have been like, no, that's dishonorable because you're training, you're being deceitful, something like that. That might have been it. But this was him. First of all, he did the thing of attacking Adolin, and that should not have happened. Then there is, but it doesn't matter. He should not have attacked him. That this is him being an arsehole. If somebody's being an arsehole,
Adolin just
the other cheek.
Power shot him halfway across the stadium.
No. The first thing that happened was he said something ugly, and then Kaladin attacked him.
Adolin challenged him. Adolin wanted that to happen. He was trying to make it happen.
But he could have not done it. He was baited. He took the bait. And that is not an honorable thing.
Except that it was the logical next step of what was happening. The dual game was protect Renarin. Then Adolin comes in and says, it's level 2 now. Because
he didn't get attacked by Adolin. Adolin did not take his shard blade and start going after him. There wasn't my next logical step is put the training stuff on Adolin's sword, and then we can continue. Zahel can tell us what we're going to do next. No, Kaladin instead has a temper tantrum, and charges him instead of brushing it off and being the better man. So I'm with Syl on that. Number one, that's the charge. Then he goes and gets thrown. So Adolin did something more dishonorable. Okay, so Kaladin does something wrong by attacking him. Adolin retaliates with an irrational amount of thought, of power, and throws him. And that's why Zahel gets angry at him. This is the point where it should have stopped, because now Zahel has taken over. Everybody's we've calmed down, but what Kaladin feels humiliated. He's lying there and he's angry, so he takes the Stormlight. He uses his anger because he hates Adolin. Takes the Stormlight. I didn't hear no bell. He takes the Stormlight to get back up and to try and fight him again, because now Adolin as well is busy talking to Zahel. Okay, so he's off guard. So now he gets an opportunity. He's being sneaky, and it's all for his pride. It's all for the way he feels about the Light Eyes, about Adolin. It's not about protecting someone else. It's not about learning to fight better. It's all about his ego being bruised. And that is why the power is taken from him.
Look.
And that makes total sense for me. I think the difference between you and me is that you are taking Adolin's actions as attack. rather than just being pissy.
I mean it. I don't see how it's not. It was a direct challenge. Even Zyle agrees with me, Kitty. You challenged him.
Yeah, you challenged him. Yes, that's fine, but he should not have accepted the challenge in that manner. They could have done something else and said, "Okay, cool. Then let's train this way." That was a surprise attack. That was
okay, but
who
is Syl and or the Almighty to tell me that this isn't a fight worth having in this moment? After everything Kaladin has been through. And let's just say this is just one mess up. Like, if I can't rely on that power, I don't even think I want to use it at all.
Well, then you're being bitter. Then you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. Then you don't deserve the power.
Well, that is a habit that I have, but but no, that's one of those things where I don't think you jump straight to taking away the power. That's one of those things where it's like maybe Syl pulls you aside and says, "Hey, what was that? I'm not happy with how you behaved there. You should watch yourself."
No, I love this.
Kaladin is nothing if not introspective and self-aware. So even if he did win, I don't think he would have been entirely happy. I think he would look back with the same exact amount of shame that I suspect he's going to in his next chapter.
I just disagree. I think it was a good way for her to teach him, and this is just the mechanics of the power.
Sure.
Think about what you're fighting for.
Sure.
Good chapter in that it generated a lot of discussion. That's what we can say.
Yeah. There were things about this chapter that I did like. So I like it better than the last Kaladin chapter. I think Zyle will grow on me. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
This is when you say anything more to say, and I say like the video.
Anything else to say, Kitty?
Like the video.
If you like. Zyle doesn't think he could force you actually to like the video. So hopefully you will reflect on your own need to be humble and hit the like button. That wasn't very good. Kitty, you got a better one?
The honorable thing to do would be to hit the like button. If you want your powers to stay with you, you hit the like button. Otherwise, your Stormlight drains.
That's so much better than what I did. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kitte if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel.
Subscribe to this channel, because you know it's great.
It would be greatly appreciated, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Thanks, bye.